On the agenda would be to approve the minutes from the prior workshop. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
I see that from Jen. I see looks like a second from Al. Is there any discussion? Then all in favor of accepting the minutes as presented would say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention?
I'll abstain, Bob.
Excellent. Great. Thank you so much. Item number two, we have two items to review, one from highway equipment and the other from major roads. And Stacy wanted to give us just a little background as well regarding this information. And so, Stacy, I am going to send the floor over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Can you see the agenda on my screen, or am I sharing the
Yes.
wrong screen? Oh, okay.
See it.
Sorry,
Yep.
I kept popping it on and off because I thought I was sharing a different screen. So I just thought I'd give you a 2-second preview on the two funds that we're talking about. For those of you who have not, this is your first round on the committee. So the Highway Equipment Fund, that has historically been managed by the Department of Public Works. A director is probably here. I have to promote him. John Iannacco will be here to talk about both of these funds. This fund is a replacement cycle of all of our highway equipment, big equipment, dump trucks, town fleet for both public works, building and grounds, including the Board of Ed. So any big piece of equipment or vehicles is funded through this fund. About 5 years ago, we did a needs assessment study, and we had somebody come in, look at all the vehicles, give us some guidelines as far as a replacement cycle, and we implemented that after the study. That resulted in a one-time infusion. I don't remember how much, but we tried to get a jump start because we were behind on the condition the condition of our vehicles. In addition to doing that, we did set up a leasing program. So we now lease the vehicles mostly on a 5-year replacement or a vehicle or a lease cycle for 5 years, and it is a capital lease, so we do own the vehicles at the end. It helped us get even more of a head start and get our vehicles more up to date and purchase more now rather than purchase one big huge dump truck in a year that could cost $250,000. So that's kind of the history there. What you'll see coming out of the fund are the lease payments for existing leases on existing vehicles, as well as projected leases on uh, purchases that'll happen over the next 5 years. Behind the summary, you will see the vehicles, the historical vehicles that have been purchased, and you'll see what's in the 5-year plan as well as what's going out there. So we're trying to keep up on top of everything as we move along through the years. We are talking about internally about maybe setting up an internal group within department heads who are involved in the town big equipment in the town fleet, meaning public works and building and grounds, and looking at this summary, this schedule of all the vehicles, maybe once or twice a year, and make sure it's updated. And there's a discussion about how the replacement cycle could be modified a little bit. Any questions on that one? Okay. And then the other one, major roads. Everybody talks about major roads. I'm sure you've all heard that we did this pavement study. I sent out some information last night. John is here to talk about it. Just a heads up in there, we have been talking about funding this fund with additional funds for many years. A few years ago, we did a special appropriation into there. We now just approved a $750,000 special appropriation that is going to town meeting next week. That 750 you will see in your document was part of the CIP program for the last year. So when we went through this process last year, the whole program, when we approved it, we anticipated that this 750 would happen. It's just happening now to go through the process and be more transparent, even though both boards and it was approved during the budget process. So that 750 will go in there. You'll see that we're counting on that in the balance. Also built into this fund are two other special appropriations, $1 million in year one and $1 million in year two. This was a result of the study. John will talk about that. I don't even think it's bringing us to the level that we would like it to be, but this is kind of how we thought we could infuse more money into the fund, and again, get a head start in getting the condition of our roads to where the experts say they should be. So that's my more than 2 cents, and I will turn it back over to Bob.
Thank you so much for that information, Stacy. So, John, I know is listed on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, Jen. Yep, see your hand? Yeah.
Yes, I just see Janet in the attendees section, if we could promote her.
Oh, I didn't even see that myself.
And John Muller is in the attendees as well.
I thought I promoted him. Sorry, I couldn't do two things at once.
Oh, no. I just didn't want us to progress before we did that. Yep.
Yep. Sorry. And I'm
That's
trying to share
okay.
my screen too, so I'm trying 3 things.
Okay,
Okay.
and I see John as well now.
Oh, and Laura Downs. Yep.
Yeah.
Stacy's got it under control.
Oh no.
Okay, everyone. Now you're in. Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for noticing I was missing, Jen.
Oh, no problem.
I had a little connection problem this morning, so
Yeah, the
but I'm
link
gonna
didn't
catch up.
work off of the agenda, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a
Go to
problem with that.
I would recommend going to the calendar. I'm not sure why that's still happening.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I am
Thank you.
going to turn the meeting over to you for your presentation.
Okay, it'll be helpful, I think, just to go over, there's a graphic that's pretty handy. The one with the curve for the 5-year.
John, I
Yeah.
have the highway equipment up first if we want to talk about that one quickly. Can you see
Oh,
it? Am I sharing my screen okay?
yes.
Mhm.
So there's
This is
for year one, there's really just 2 changes. One is a John Deere excavator replaces our backhoe, which is an old piece of equipment, and it's due for replacement. The only change is the type of equipment. It's a excavator as opposed to a backhoe. It's more modern, versatile piece of equipment that will meet our needs better. The other piece of equipment is a roller, replacement of our existing roller. And I believe this all fits within the funding in this this plan. So we're not requesting additional funding in year one, and then in subsequent years we'll reevaluate. We'll fine tune the equipment list and what our needs are.
So if I can share it, so this is a schedule that I was talking about, the lease payments. So up above, these are our current lease payments that were in for vehicles that we've already purchased. This is our projected lease payments. I believe we used a 6% interest rate, 5 years. We use a cost escalation for the vehicles. The listing of the actual vehicles that are behind these lease payments are on pages 67 through 71, and that shows historically, the 5-year, as well as future. And as John said, we are still funding it at a level funding and trying to keep up with our existing fleet and our needs.
That's really about all I have to say about the highway vehicles, unless there's any questions.
It doesn't look like I see any hands raised. Does anyone have a question? Okay, great. Well, then we can move on to the other item.
Okay. I'm gonna share. That's on page 80 of your book. I sent out some materials last night, but I think John's going to want to share what he's talking about. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen so that but it is on page 80. And John, I think you could share.
Okay. I'm sorry, bear with me here. It's looking for, it's under the more category.
There should be a big green button that says share.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's how I find it.
Okay. Share.
You have to have the document open first.
All right. Let me do that. Just a minute.
Stop sharing.
Okay. So I have the documents open, expanded on my screen.
Yep.
But you still see the little thumbnail.
You
there.
have to stop sharing and
You
then
have to
start sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, when you hit share, you'll see the document you want to share.
Yes.
Let me see if I could pull it up if you're having a hard time. Hang on.
Yeah.
I had you for a
I
minute.
see it, but it's still minimized. I don't know, for some reason. Oh, I need to stop sharing now for you, right, Stacy? Is that? I should stop sharing.
If you stop share, you have your document open, then hit share again, and then double click on your document. Where's my attachment?
John, we've all been there.
I know. Say, I know. All right. I have all three, John, if you want me to do it. Which one do you want me to share?
There's the one with, it's like 2 pages. One has a curve, a graphic sort of with showing the 5 years and the curve where we're increasing funding.
Yep, it's all one. Okay.
He likes that page.
Is this the one?
Just a minute.
Can you see it?
No, I've got no.
Oh, you have too many other screens open.
Too much going on. So, all right. Zoom in. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm there. There it is. Can everybody see that graphic then, the curve?
Yes.
Okay. So what this is we've asked our consultant resurveyed all the roads. They did a pavement study, and this was finalized in 2024. We actually then did a revision to include the roads paved in 2024. And that's what's reflected on this curve. So what that was, so they went through and they rated all the roads. The roads are all rated from 0 to 100, 0 being the worst, 100 being a brand new paved road. The average, so the current average rating for the road is a 71. You can see that at the beginning of the curve for July 2025. And we've asked our consultant to do a 5-year CIP plan, in collaboration with the town, to come up with a plan to get us to a higher level. So according to the consultant Beta, 71 is slightly above average for towns that they have done pavement studies for. They've done pavement studies for 170 different communities, and we're a little bit above average based on their data that they have, and they have a lot of data. I'm kind of surprised by that because 71. I'm just aware of all the roads that are in poor condition. There's many roads that are in good condition. We've done some aggressive paving, but we're still not, I think, at a very high level. And so Beta, in working with Beta, we came up with a goal of increasing the RSR, the road surface rating, from 71 up to a 75 at the end of the 5-year plan. And the focus on this was to determine what level of funding do we need in the initial year so that we can sort of get a head start and catch up, get closer to that 75 quicker, which would allow us to get roads in very poor condition paved and move more quickly into more of a preservation techniques. Whereas right now in the plan calls for in year 5 a $5 million expenditure. And you can see in the below this curve, there's these little pie charts, and it shows the amount going towards basically in yellow and red. That's major rehabilitation. So that's reclaiming a road, basically reconstructing a road. Is the red section of the pie chart, and then in yellow is this minor rehabilitation, but that's basically a mill and overlay. So it's significant work. It's repaving the roads. That's the breakdown for year 1, and that gets us from a 71 up to 73.8, I think that says. And then in years 2 through 4 or 2 through 5, this plan reverts back to what we've been historically spending, which is about $1.5 million per year. $1 million is coming out of CIP, and the other $500,000 or so is coming from a town aid road fund that we receive, and from pavement operating accounts that we use for maintenance. And so you can see what this does is it the overall condition of the road network will creep up. It'll continue to creep up. And it also will push us into this category of more routine type maintenance, preventative type maintenance, which is, if you look at the pie chart on the right in green, it's a much larger fraction of the work would be in preventative maintenance, which is things like, it's not a full repave, but it's things like crack sealing and chip sealing, where you're putting a surface on the road, on roads that are in relatively good condition, and you're extending the life of that pavement, is basically what it does, and at a lower cost. So it'll allow us to do more roads and hit more roads across the town-wide. That's the goal of this plan, and that's what we're hoping to achieve here. I think that's going to get us into a better place, where the worst roads, or many of the worst roads in town, will be addressed in year 1, and then going forward, we'll be able to put more efforts into routine and preservation techniques in the paving maintenance.
Janet, I see your hand raised.
Yes, hi. Hi, John. So I see the water company has done some repaving already on some of the roads that you had listed as red on the chart. So like Middle Beach Road is already done. And my understanding is they're going to be doing, they did all the water work on East Wharf, and my understanding that's going to be paved. Is that paid by the water company? Like, how is that structured into here? Because I see that some of those were the red in the red on the map.
Yes, so the water company paid a portion because really what happened was we were set to pave those roads, and the water company, there was a lack of communication or something, but they didn't inform us that they were replacing the water lines in Middle Beach Road or East Wharf Road until very last minute. So we ended up delaying the paving by a year, and East Wharf would have been done already. Now we're looking at doing it this coming season. And so because the water company is installing a new water line, they would have been required to do a certain level of trench restoration. And so instead of having them do a trench restoration and then having us go in and paving the entire road over that, it made sense to have them pay their portion, what it would have cost to do the trench restoration, and have them pay in lieu of doing that work, what the cost would have been for the trench restoration. And we are taking those funds and applying it to the road paving program, essentially. So
Is that in there already? Like, is that
yeah,
credit already reflected in the numbers?
it is in there, and it's but it's relatively minor on the whole if you look at the whole town-wide paving plan. But it is the funds or the checks that we received from the water company is like on the order of, gosh, I think it was like 100,000, is included in the analysis here.
And my other question is, in the study, is it taken into account like that certain roads are traveled much more frequently? Like the roads leading to the beach, for example, is that taken into account by the consultants as they have estimated, how many times, how the frequency of I guess maintaining those roads versus some of the dead end cul-de-sacs?
It is taken into account, and it's, the biggest variable is obviously the condition of the road, but second in importance, I would say, is the classification of the road and the use of the road. And in the pavement study that they did, the roads are all have a classification, a functional classification. Is it a cul-de-sac, a dead end road, a local no outlet road, or is it sort of a main drag or a collector road, we call them. That takes a higher precedence over if you have two roads being kind of equal condition. A road that's more highly traveled is going to get a higher priority on the paving list. So that is considered. From Beta looked at that when they created the 5-year plan, and they also are in close communication with the towns. We have the local knowledge, of Middle Beach Road and the importance of, the high traffic volume that you see down there, and, things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks, John. Nice presentation. I just have a question about the special appropriations. What's driving the need for special appropriations as opposed to just having these numbers in a normal budget?
It may be something that not to put you on the spot, finance can answer better. For me, I'm in charge of maintaining the road network, and as far as the mechanism for the funding, it it really doesn't matter to me how that's
Certainly.
arrived at.
Start the conversation. I know Peggy's here too. I don't know, Peggy, if you wanted to start and I could chime in or
I raised my hand, but am I called on?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you. Um, yeah, if we were to try to build this into the budget, it would blow the budget. So, we're trying to be tactical about it, and this is more to just improve the paving situation. Our paving situation is pretty comparable to similar communities. There's no urgency or emergency here, but we're just trying to make long-term improvements. So, the Board of Selectmen talked about this a year ago when the beta study came out. We talked about it again at our CIP workshop in September, and this will be a conversation with both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. So the town is recommending that we infuse money into this. And, the CIP is more, does this make sense? Does this plan work? But I think the appropriation itself will obviously be final decision by both boards. If we do not do the appropriations, we just won't be able to sustain a higher level of paving. That's really kind of the question that we would have to ask ourselves. I will also note that the cost of paving has gone up quite a bit in the last couple of years. We also infused, this last year we did 750. That was the town meeting is coming up for that. And then I think it was 3 years ago we had done 750, and it just to kind of keep ahead of it. Our goal is obviously to get rid of as many reds as possible, because the more you ignore a road, the more it deteriorates, and then it's going to cost you more to fix it. Um, so I think that we couldn't, if you wanted to build that into the budget, um, it would really, it would be a big hit to the budget if you tried to lump this all in. I mean, Beta was recommending a $5 million infusion. Instead, the staff went through and tried to come up with a more reasonable 5-year plan based on the capital funding. And so that's where I think it was the plan would do 1 million special appropriations, 1 million each year over the next 2 years. And it's a plan. So if next year we decide, there's other urgencies that fund balances need for, or, that then we wouldn't do the infusion. It just means we're going to be not as robust with our paving. And I don't know if Jen or Al would like to weigh in because the board has had several meetings. We've had Beta present to us twice, I think, about this and had talked about doing an appropriation.
Well, yeah, thanks for clarifying. I just all in everything, everything considered, it's still the money still comes from the same source, whether it's in the budget or off budget in a way. But I'm all for quality roads. The only thing I'm a little concerned that by having special appropriations, we then run the risk of the town voting this down, and then what's our plan B if that happens?
Well, the plan B is we just don't get as much paving done as we'd like. That's all. We're not going to move our
Okay.
rating up. I mean, we still have an adequate paving budget to sustain us where we are. I think the goal here is to just make improvements.
Got it.
We're also looking at, we also have some other projects that are road related that we're doing as separate CIP projects that are in addition to just pavement rehabilitation, or we're adding, like the Scotland Avenue project, Middle Beach Drainage Project. The Cottage Road is a new one that we put in here that needs, a lot more thought besides just, improving the paving. So there are other projects too that are kind of related to roads. So it's really just an issue. Do we want to overall increase the road quality in the town or not? And how do we want to fund it?
All right. Thanks for clarifying.
And once again, I just want to, Jen or Al, if you want to weigh in, because the board talked extensively about this at several meetings, at our meetings.
Yeah, I mean, you covered it well. I don't have anything else to add. Just to reiterate that the money's there for what would have been considered typical road paving, and this is just these appropriations would be to get us ahead of the curve, so to speak.
And I guess I would also highlight that if we get ahead of the curve, to Jen's point, then it helps future budgets, right? Because now we're not
spending as much on a few roads, the ones in the reds and the yellows, but we're able to spread it all out more for maintenance. So in theory, it should help us a little bit more in the future on our budgets.
John, I'd like to offer you a longer term perspective, and that is this account historically has been one that elected officials have just kicked down the road. In the past, when we've had trouble balancing the budget, this is the account we usually rated and didn't fund adequately. And I'm talking about decades here. And so this is our first attempt really to not be so far behind the eight ball and get back up to speed on maintaining our roads the way our residents would like them maintained. Talking to folks in neighborhoods throughout the town, everybody feels their local neighborhood road is one that's in need of upgrade. So it's an issue that seems to be of great interest to folks all over town, and I think now elected officials realize that we need to catch up to our precedent boards, our antecedent boards, not stepping up to the plate when they should have.
Thanks, Al. Hi, Laura. I see your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. Al, thanks for bringing up a little perspective. I remember selectmen in the past saying that roads is what they hear about most from constituents. So Al, you make a good point that we're all concerned about the roads surrounding our own homes. John Iannecco, can you talk about the difference between how we previously decided which roads were going to be paved and using the data from the consultant to decide?
Really, the philosophy hasn't changed. I've attended several seminars in the course of working in this position, and the theme in payment asset management is always about, well, you don't put all your money, you don't want to be in a situation where you're putting all your money into the worst roads. They call it worst first. It's not a great approach. You want to get ahead of it. And so, my philosophy has always been, we take the funding that we have, we try to spend it as wisely as possible, and try to distribute the paving across the town so that we are picking off some of the worst roads, reclaiming them when they've fallen off and really gotten into sort of a failure mode, and while not losing sight of the fact that we need to continue with regular pavement overlays as opposed to reclaiming and crack sealing and chip sealing, doing more preservative maintenance. So, to answer your question, I guess is the philosophy is the same. We did get good, I think, information from Beta Group, because this is an area of expertise for them. They do a lot of sort of GIS type of work and pavement analysis and other things, but this is their area of expertise. So when they came up with the 5-year plan, I asked them to give me your first cut, give me your independent opinion of what roads should be paved, and then we'll compare notes and discuss it, because we have the local knowledge. And really, we're really of kind of like mind in terms of the approach on which roads to pave. What this plan does, it does allow us to pick off some of the worst roads, many of the worst roads, and get us closer to where we're into more of a preventative maintenance and a preservation, using preservation techniques in subsequent years.
Yeah, I guess I would expect to see, as that pie chart, maybe there's not enough time on here, or maybe the price increases just are factored in, but that second pie where you've got more green roads or more green expenditures, does the pie shrink over time, hopefully?
Well, I think the idea is for for the yellow to shrink and the green and the blue to increase over time. That's in an ideal scenario where you have where funding is not an issue at all. We would be in a situation where we're using preservation techniques, and we're chip sealing, and we're using techniques that buy life for the road, and you can extend it out. Like, for example, this past season, we just paved 10 roads pretty aggressively. So they've been overlaid, and now they're in very good condition. What we need to be doing going forward is chip sealing those roads, or using techniques like that are lower cost, and you can buy another 5 or 6 years out of that road. Whereas, normally you overlay a road, it may last 15, 20 years before you have to touch it again. We use these other techniques in the green and the blue. It's lower cost, and we're pushing the time frame out where we have to repave it again.
Thank you.
Hi, Janet. I see your hand raised.
Yes, hi. So I'm looking at the chart here and I see that there are two further special appropriations that are going to be needed in 27 and 28 for $1 million each. So my question really is, what is the right way to do this, right? Because I feel like this might not be as transparent as it should be to the public if we're handling it as special appropriations and not putting it in the budget. I do understand that we don't want to blow the budget, but is this the right way? Should we be showing our cards, right? Should we be saying, look, this is really what's coming up? Should we be asking for the appropriation all at once for the 2,750,000, or should we be putting it in the budget and increasing the contribution to the capital account versus, doing these special appropriations every year? That's my question.
I'm happy to take a shot at that. I think the goal is to keep taxes at a reasonable level, and we're using funds that were already collected. And so this is trying to get ahead. This isn't an urgent thing. And if the boards decide that they don't want to pursue this plan, they don't have to pursue this plan. But the plan only works with appropriations, because once again, you can't, to put another $1 million on our budget, that would be a tax rate that I think the public would not accept, right? So, but the public also has an opportunity to vote on these appropriations. I mean, we've done several of these now that have allowed us to continue to make progress in town and to move things forward without having the mill rate go through the roof. I think if we did the $1 million this year, and it's voted on by both boards, elected boards, and it's voted on at a town meeting, and then the next year we decide that paving isn't as a priority for this funding. We need this because we have an issue with the project, or we have a big storm, and and we need the money for emergency purposes, then the town doesn't pursue the second appropriation. It just means we're not going to get ahead as much on the paving. So, transparency is this meeting, right? And this gets presented, it's publicly available and it's discussed as part of the budget. And then the meetings are noticed. And so, this is an approach that has been working really well for us. And I guess it's really a philosophical discussion. So that's something that the boards kind of weigh in and make a decision, and then ultimately the people, vote on it. They vote at the town meeting for the appropriations, and they vote on, and remember, they're only voting for 1 year of the budget. They're voting for this next budget. So this will be discussed again next year, right? It'll be the same conversation. Do we want to continue forward with this paving plan? Do we want to do another $1 million appropriation as the plan currently lays out? And through a public, transparent meeting. So I guess that's my thoughts. Other selectmen or Board of Finance members, I mean, this is the process. It goes through 2 elected boards before it's recommended to the public at a public hearing.
Were there any other questions about that? Any other feedback? Anyone have any other questions for John? Hi, Laura.
Hi. Specifically, I don't see Warpus on here, and I know that was a different project.
Yes,
Was
Warpus. Oh, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
was that a special, like the Middle Beach or the Cottage Road?
Warpus Road, there's a grant for. There's a lots of grant to reconstruct the road, and we're actually going out to bid with that right now. So that's why you don't see it in this plan. It's going to be fully paid for. Construction is going to be fully paid for on that road.
Okay. And Stacy, in our materials, the Cottage Road and the new road, on page 82 and 83, it says that those are, I guess I'm not sure what I'm looking at. It's in year 5, the $75,000, but it says highway equipment and town vehicles. So I just wasn't in the details.
Oh, the
Yeah,
funding
that's wrong.
source, sorry.
Yeah, the title will change. These are additional roads that we wanted to highlight that were going to be done. This is the planning money in year 5, but you're right, the funding source, that should be changed. Thank you
Sorry,
for
Laura,
catching
that's
that.
me.
Oh no, that's all right. I'm not trying to be picky. So, but does that mean that the Cottage Road study is in year 5? Like nothing's going to be done to Cottage Road until then?
That is the normally new projects get inserted in year 5. You as a committee have the ability to move it forward and pull it forward. And so do the boards. So if that's going to be a priority that the committee thinks that should get moved forward, that's going to impact obviously the funding schedule for everything. But I think right now, we haven't even moved forward with the design. We know there's a problem with Cottage Road that's been noted. Not just it's always been part of, I think, the plan from a paving standpoint, but this is to look at the road width. And so
Need for sidewalks and that sort of thing.
and I think there was Stacy, the materials that the group from Cottage Road that was supposed to be submitted to the committee. Remember, they came to Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen.
I don't think I've sent anything to the committee
Okay, so
themselves on it.
the residents have put forward that I mean, I thought they were going to actually be attending one of your meetings because we'd recommended that, but they'd sent some materials, just, why they feel the road is a priority and all the issues they've had with the roads. They came to both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. So that probably should be sent to the committee. I guess they're not here attending. But they're, a group that want to see this as a priority, obviously, and that's where you have to weigh how it ranks relative to other things in the pipeline. But there's no formal road design for that right now either. So we're really starting from square one. John, correct me, right, on Cottage Road in terms of looking at that whole corridor, because there's been a lot of development in the last couple of years on it. And the good thing is that there's going to be some improvements because of the Boston Post Road crosswalk and sidewalk project that's happening. So that will help a little bit with the intersection of Cottage Road and Route 1. But the overall road width and all that needs to be examined and determined if there can be some improvements made there.
Yeah, I
Peggy,
mean,
there
I
is
think the character of the road is just changed so much over the years. It was a country road and not heavily traveled, but now it's changing. So it does make sense to me to look at it from a planning perspective, to the question about the condition and waiting 5 years, I don't know if that's going to be feasible, but it should be looked at from a planning perspective, and rather than repave, pave the entire road or reclaim the road and then do it again, doesn't make sense either.
But do you still haven't gone through, because that's a CNRE project now, isn't it, Stacy? Cottage Road? Oh, I thought we put it as a separate. Well, we don't know
Yeah,
until we see the actual,
we
yeah,
did keep it as a separate item in the major roads,
in
but it
major
is
roads. Okay.
highlighted outside of the pavement study. And
Okay.
Peggy, who would be on here? Because I do have an attendee. I'm not sure who would be on here to speak about this.
Um,
Yes, that is a Cottage Road attendee.
That
okay.
is Ron
Okay.
Bodenson.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. All right.
yeah,
Yeah,
let
I
me
knew that they
promote
were
him.
planning on attending. So, but they also submitted a packet of information that your committee should get. So we'll send that to you. Just in terms of their advocacy for, the project and the timing of the project. Do you have public comment at the end of your meetings, I'm assuming?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
on
But
now.
I do acknowledge also that Galen had his hand raised for a little while. So
Oh, thank you, Bob. I was just going to
yeah,
say, we did have a gentleman at our very first CIP meeting talk about Cottage Road. I think it was Rob, who's here now. So just for
Yes,
the
we
record.
did.
Yep.
okay. And Janet, your hand was also next. I wasn't sure if you wanted to share feedback before we heard from Ron.
Yeah, just quickly, because Cottage Road has all this development and part of it is affordable housing, is there a way to pursue a grant to help us with that road rehabilitation?
Absolutely. We will intend to do that as a project, but we need a design first. We
Okay.
need to have like, what do we want to do with it before we can apply for a grant? So we will definitely, every project we look at grants, and so that is definitely one we think is a possibility for some sort of grant from the state, but we're not sure what. We just need to know what we're trying to do to it. Because what
Okay,
I've found
thanks.
is if it's, the state's not going to pay for paving, right? But they'll do other types of things. And this does not qualify, I don't think, right now as a LOTSIP project. LOTSIP, they pay 100% of the construction, but there's qualifications. It's not a collector road, but we might change that could change now with traffic counts. That it could become a collector road, and then it would qualify for LOTSIP. So we don't know until we go through the process of engineering what we want, what the road is, and what we need to do to it.
Thank you for that. Ron, thank you so much for showing up at the meeting. We are acknowledging you now to give your presentation and feedback.
Well, thanks for inviting me. There's others in our group who are much more eloquent about this than I am. And I'm not sure how much more I can add than what you all already know about Cottage. I've lived within a few blocks of it for the last 13 years, and I've seen it change from what John described as sort of a sleepy country road to a road with multi-family developments, adding scores and scores of residents who live on Cottage Road along its about a mile and a half stretch, and then the addition of commercial during that same period of time. Those commercial facilities that are on Route 1 to great back up to Cottage and to a great extent use both Route 1 and Cottage. So there's all kinds of exits on the Cottage from various commercial. And if you walk or drive along it, you'll see that the commercial facilities don't like Cottage. They build their driveway out into Cottage in order to have an improved access. So it's become a very, very busy road because it parallels Route 1 for that mile and a half. And the town is, without hesitation, about the condition of Cottage Road, has improved all these new facilities, both commercial and multifamily. It's used widely for walking and biking. It's a bit dangerous. Two cars really cannot pass safely on that road. Somebody either has to stop or get a little bit off the road to pass. Now, the advantage is that keeps the mile per hour down because if you can't pass an oncoming car, you usually slow down. So anyway, there's been a lot of input by, again, people in our community who are more eloquent about it than I am, but we appreciate your focus, your concern on it. If maybe I missed the first few minutes, but if you're saying that Cottage Road won't even get a plan for 5 years, I think that's a mistake. But I think it should get accelerated. But like it's been noted, everybody likes the improvement of the road closest to them. So we're guilty of that too. But thanks for your consideration.
Thanks, Ron, for your feedback. And just so we have it for the record, what was your legal address?
18 Canborn Way. It's in the Windermere development, adjoining Cottage.
Great. Thank you so much for that. What other questions does anyone have in the committee for John? Looks like I don't see any hand raised for that.
I have a question.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because the other item on there is New Road for 75,000 in year 5. New Road was recently paved. Is that should that not be there, or is that we're going to do something else to that?
I'm happy to comment on that. That has to do with, it's really going to be more of a state issue because those are 2 state roads, but we might need to do some improvements at the intersection. So we just wanted to flag it because of those 2
Oh, the Horse
developments.
Pond side of
Yeah, it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
corner where it intersects with, not New Road isn't state, but where it intersects with the connector, right? And then the 2 developments, one is kind of stalled, but one is slowly moving ahead. So we just want to get ahead of that and start thinking about the intersection, and the town would have to fund some of that. Correct, John? I know we don't have a plan. It's the same thing. We don't have a plan yet, but we know that intersection is a problem. And we've been advocating a lot with the state DOT on coming up with kind of a shared vision for that whole intersection.
So that's really New Road and Connector as
Yeah, I think is it called Duck Hole or 452, or I can't remember what the other
Yeah.
names are. I think it's Duck Hole at that intersection, but that whole intersection's a mess, and it's also tied into how 95 connects.
Mhm.
So, and they're doing that whole 95 corridor study. So there's a lot going on there, but we know the town is going to have to do something on New Road probably at one point. So we just wanted to add it to this plan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy, for that. Any other questions for John? Don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to move on to citizen comments. I don't know if there's any other citizens on the line. I don't have, I think, the leadership status to see if there's anyone online. I don't know, Stacy, if you know.
There is not.
Okay, great. All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconding.
Thank you so much for that. All in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Thanks all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
you.
Take care. Happy New Year.
Bye.